Okay, so today I went to I wanted to record this short video. I went to the location and I shot a video that I will share with you in a second. But first, I wanted to explain a little bit of the scene that we're talking about. The scene is the final confrontation between Crowley and and Pilar and Shelley. And it's a very complex fight with many sections. I divided the fight into all these sections, A to H, and I will open any one of them to show you. This is pretty much it's like a diagram of the full set. And the proportions are pretty right. This is a trolley or a bus. There's an exit next to the trolley. There are many. I just put this here to simulate different obstacles and pieces of furniture. It's a very old, dusty place. And then I drew this entrance here, this door. I was wrong. I did this before today. The door is actually back here, but other than that, the proportions are correct. These are windows. These three lines here are windows where the daylight is coming through. Originally, I had envisioned this in the shape of a storyboard. These are Pilar and Shelley coming into a generic area. These are just illustrations, a generic area, walking through it, all run down and kind of demolished. And they walk through different rooms. See, I always had in mind like an industrial type of building or plant. And they walk through different areas until everything gets very dark. And they end up getting to the final place where they have the final confrontation with Crowley. When I found a new place, I replaced this final room where the final confrontation takes place by the trolley that you will see on the video. So most of the final fight will happen around this bus. We have Pilar, we have Shelley, and we have Crowley, and some of the stuff is going to happen inside the bus, going around the bus, fighting in front of the bus, and on the side of the bus to end the final fight in this area down here on the other side of the bus. And the video will be self-explanatory. You will see in a few minutes everything that will happen around this area. Another good thing about this program, and this is mostly for the crew, we have all the shots here on the side, and we can go in and see the description of each shot, and each one of them even has some. These are only suggestions, lens suggestions. It's an insert or a low angle, things like that. All of this can be put on a PDF and I will give this to the crew, where you will have the diagrams and also the description of the shots with the lens suggestions and everything else. And so it's going to be, everybody will have access to this, either online or also in print copy that I will bring with me to the actual set.
This is a door, and this is the door where Pilar and Shelley will be coming in. It's the back of the building. And then I'm not going to do detailed shots of any of this, but this is to give you an idea of the dimension of the place. They're going to be coming in here. And as you can see, let me do a higher shot here. This is where they're going to be coming into. And to all this place, we're going to be walking through. There are some shots that I drew in a storyboard. Hopefully we can resolve this walkthrough with the two girls in the morning, so that we don't have to be working a lot on this and we can concentrate on the actual fights. So yeah, there will be some track shots following them, a couple of lines of dialogue, but mostly that's what it is. They enter through this door, they walk through this place to give the characters and the audience an idea of how big this place is. They can walk through these areas over here, you know, just looking inside these containers, wondering if he's maybe sleeping somewhere over there. And once they're done walking through this area, we still have this other half. And as you can see, it's a very open space. We will avoid showing other doors on the sides. We will not show this. We will not show this caravan, because we want to give the idea, we'll keep everything around here. We want to give the idea that even when it's the ideal place for a hideout for a vampire, there aren't really coffins or anything secluded enough for the vampire to be there. So they start wondering if they were set up and the vampire is actually not here. And that's how they walk all the way to the end of this big place, to the other side where we will have the final confrontation, wondering if maybe they shouldn't be here. Ultimately, they will get to this area that I'm showing now, which is where there is a trolley, a bus, and there's a door, which is the exit right here. This is the exit. So on their way to the exit, when they're walking by this trolley, what's going to happen? Let me flip the monitor so I can see myself. What's going to happen is they're going to be walking around here, walking towards the exit, and Pilar will realize that the windows of the trolley are covered with newspaper, which is unusual. And they have a small dialogue about, oh, maybe it's just the word painting, it's a paint job or something, but the whole place is very dusty and all. It looks like nobody has been here for a very long time. But Pilar gets closer to the newspaper and she notices that the articles and the dates on the pages are recent and the newspaper is not old. So that means that somebody has been here for any reason very recently in a place that is supposed to be abandoned and nobody has been for a long time. So that's one of the main key elements. And as they're walking here in this area also, probably on the other side, they will find the mask. Let me show you. So as they get here, they come around this way. And as they get to the entrance, before they go in, they find a mask on the floor. The mask is the same mask that we saw before, the one that says, "I believe in science." And so that's, of course, already been seen before, and it's pandemic. So that's another indication that someone has been here very recently. So with all of that in mind, and carrying the crosses and the stakes and everything they bring in their backpacks, which is very important for the rest of the scene, establishing that they have their backpacks with the stakes, the crosses, the hand axe, the bottle with holy water, carrying all of that like if there were weapons, kind of like Ghostbusters type of thing. They're going to go into the bus where a lot of things are going to happen. They come inside the bus carrying their crosses and the stake and everything else, and they will start walking towards the end of the bus. The camera will be located as it is right now on the back of the bus. But all these windows will be covered with newspaper, preventing the light from coming in. So, as Pilar carries a cross and her cell phone just shining light on this that will be pretty dark, more dark than it is right now because now the windows are not covered, Shelley is going to drop her cross, which is very important for the end, going to drop the cross here, and it's going to use her hands to start peeling the newspaper out of the windows, allowing for sunlight to come in. I'm doing this wrong. Actually, the light would come from this side. So she's going to drop the cross here and start peeling the newspaper from here. And like this, very slowly, both of them are going to come all the way to the end. And in the back seat is where they're going to find the vampire. So once they get to this area, to the back seat, they will discover a body covered with like a tarp or like some kind of cloth, very dusty cloth. And when they remove that, they realize it's one of the victims that disappeared halfway through the movie. And the way they will realize this is because she will have in her hands a keychain. And when the keychain falls on the floor and they grab it, the keychain has pictures of the children, and these were featured on an article about the missing person. A mother of 3 children is missing, and they thought that maybe it was Crowley, and yes, it was the vampire, it was Crowley. So they're looking at this, a body that is almost just decomposing with this keychain, and in that moment when the attention is focused on that, the vampire was actually under her sleeping, like a kind of an animal, like a predator that brings the prey to eat, to feed from them. So a hand of the vampire comes out from under the tarp and grabs one of probably Pilar's leg or arm or something. There's a struggle in this area. The girls are released from the struggle. They run back to the front of the bus, and the vampire goes after them. And that's the end of the scene inside the trolley. Once they come out of the bus, they will run, the two girls, we don't know where the vampire is, they will run around the bus like this. And when they're going in front of the bus, pretty much where I am, we're going to show an insert of a window, not this one, of course. This is for us to fear out Hilario in the special effects. One of these windows blows up, and there's something that comes out of it. We think it's the vampire probably, but it's not. Once it falls on the ground, it's actually the wrapped up in the tarp, wrapped up body of the victim, of the girl. He just threw her through the window to distract them. And there's a big moment of shock where they see this thing that comes out of the window and falls on the ground. And when the attention is on that, then Crowley will attack them in this area. He will come from here. So the vampire will come from this other side and will grab Pilar by the neck, and Shelley, who has the stake in her hand, will swing at him, and he will grab her wrist and will force her down. Remember, he has Pilar by the neck here, and he will force Shelley's wrist down until she lets go of the stake, beats her out of frame. Of course, we're going to use stunts, so that's why, Gabriel, I need you to see all of this, and we need to make this safe with the right people. We need to have a stunt fall, either if this car is still here, maybe on top of it, or if not, we need to have some breakaway piece of furniture, either in front of the car or anywhere in this area, so that the stunt can fall against it and make it really violent, even if it's not. So she beats her out of frame, beats Shelley out of frame, and then is going to bite Pilar, who he all the time was holding on his other hand. But Pilar has the bottle of holy water with her. So when he goes at her, Pilar will use the holy water and will smash it against him. And that will burn him for a moment, and he will let her go. When he lets her go, Pilar will try to crawl out of reach, and he will again grab her, this time from the back of the neck, like this, like if it was a cat, okay? And will lift her and smack her against the trolley 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the last time, we're gonna shoot from outside, but also from inside through the windshield. The last time, and this is a contained small shot with a stunt person probably, of sugar glass, her face will go through the sugar glass. So we're gonna backlit that light from the sides here, so we don't see, it's not really the actress, but a stunt. So her face will just go into the windshield, and she's completely knocked out, very, very severely hurt. When Crowley grabs Pilar from the back of the neck and starts hitting her against the bus, we can always do it like this, so we don't see exactly where he hits her. I was also thinking of using this camera movement going with him, which increases the violence each one of the 4 times that he's hitting her. Okay, so it's 4 times. When she's hitting her 4 times, Shelley, who is on the other side because he had beat her out of frame, will start screaming and, desperate, seeing what's going on, the terrible punishment that Pilar is going through. So Pilar comes down and she falls down here on the ground, knocked out of commission, and now Crowley is going to focus again on Shelley. So this is a different angle now. As you can see, we're behind the bus now. And I want to explain the next segment of the fight from here, so that you understand where you are. This is the front of the bus. This is where all the attack to Pilar took place. Pilar was dropped and unconscious on this area, and she's going to remain here on the floor, unconscious for a while. And Shelley was around this area because, remember, Crowley had hit her out of frame. So now the vampire is going to focus his attack on Shelley. And Shelley will walk backwards, trying to get away from him, and Crowley will walk forward to attack her. Remember, Shelley has with her in the backpack all the stuff. So she's gonna reach out to it as she's walking backwards, and it's gonna grab the most prominent thing that she has, which is the hand axe, which is about this big. She's gonna grab the axe, and there will be here in this area a stunt choreographed, Gabriel, that we need to think about, a stunt fight, short, of course, where Shelley, who was in the army and is a good fighter, will try to defend herself with the axe against the vampire. For the axe fight between Crowley and Shelley, we'll have, of course, the wide shots. We also have some handheld shots in this direction while they're fighting, of course, in this direction with Crowley facing this way while they're fighting. And at some point, nothing really hurts the vampire, not an axe at least. So he will get rid of the axe, he will throw the axe to the ground, which is also important for later, and will grab Shelley by the neck, and very fast and very quickly, because it's very strong, will choke her out. So in a few seconds she's out, and she falls completely unconscious on the ground around here. So this is important. So she will fall in this area, and back there, around here, we still have Pilar unconscious. Okay? So Shelley is now unconscious here, Pilar is now unconscious over there, and Crowley, because Pilar fell facing down and her backpack is, facing up, so to speak, Crowley gets curious, the vampire gets curious about that backpack with stuff, so he will pull the strings and he will pull off the backpack, and it's gonna just drop the content, and it's gonna see there's another stake there. He's gonna just throw the stake away, and he sees the crown of thorns. It's like a vine with thorns, and he's gonna prick his finger and realize that also can actually harm him, which was already established in a previous scene when they were talking about what the crown of thorns can do. The Christ, what's the name of this? Yeah, crown of thorns, or crown of Christ thorns can do to him. So he's gonna, when he sees that can actually prick him and hurt him, he will drop that to the ground as well. And at that point, the fight will change from action and beatings and all of that to a more creepy moment, or a more creepy area where the vampire acts like an addict, and because Shelley is hurt and she has blood on her arms because of the fight with the axe and everything, he gets almost like in a trance when he sees the blood, okay? And it's gonna kneel down or whatever on her, and it's gonna start feeding from her arm or a hand, some area, not the neck, just the area that has blood. He's like an addict, okay? Has to go to it. So when he kneels down on Shelley in this area and starts feeding from her, that's when we're gonna go back to Pilar, who is over here, and she's gonna start waking up slowly, still very druggy because of the violent hits that she was punished before. So she's gonna start waking up very druggy, and from this angle, from down here, the attack that Shelley is suffering here will look very similar to what they saw before when Crowley killed Sandra Stevens, and they couldn't do anything to save her. So imagine, it's like a close-up of Pilar there on the ground, looking up, and what she sees, and I will use the flashback technique in editing, looks exactly that when they couldn't save Sandra Stevens before. So it's like a second chance for Pilar to save someone else. In this case, the person she loves, which is Shelley, okay? But she can't. She tries to get up. When she tries to get up, the camera shows that the stake, remember that Shelley had a stake in her hand in the beginning of the fight, and Crowley had taken the stake away from her? The stake is still there. The camera shows that. Pilar doesn't see it. She's too druggy. But the camera shows the stake is next to Pilar. Very important. Pilar tries to get up. Druggy. She can't make it. She falls back unconscious. Back here, back to the fight against Shelley. Crowley is feeding from her arm. Shelley wakes up slowly after she was choked out, okay? And Shelley realizes that next to her face is the crown of thorns, the vines with thorns. So she slowly grabs the crown of thorns and hits Crowley on the side of the neck with it, and that thing sticks to him and he bleeds from it, so he lets her go. And that takes us to the next section of the fight. We're almost done. On this area of the fight, we have Shelley, she's on the ground. I'm not gonna do it because I'm an old man and I won't be able to stand up again. But she's on the ground and she starts like crawling backwards, trying to get away from Crowley. And Crowley takes the crown of thorns off his neck, throws it to the ground one more time, and goes after her one more time. But this time, and we have to control this with our lights. Now we're not using any of our lights. There's a line here, exactly in this area, where the trolley ends. There's a line that separates darkness in the shadow from the light coming from the windows, daylight. The sun is supposed to be on this other side. That's where the windows are. So supposedly the sun is coming from the other side of the bus, which is the reason why all of this is in the shade, but there are some rays of light coming through the windows. And that's also why here on the front, I mean, this is clean. This trolley probably won't be here. There will be only one. So this is all light. But beyond this point, no, it will be dark, the shade of the actual bus. So unintentionally, Shelley crawls back into the area where there's still sunlight. And Crowley is going after her, but he stops on his tracks. He can't move any further than here because there's sunlight over here. That's very important. And Shelley realizes what's going on. We're gonna have a couple of close-ups of her when she looks at the floor, looks at his feet, that he doesn't move any further, looks up, you don't see it from there, but there are windows there. We see that there's daylight outside, and she understands what's going on. So this is what happens. When Crowley sees that he can't go at her, and she's temporarily safe, he remembers that Pilar is still over there, and he can do something with her. She's still in the shade, she's still in the dark. So he goes back to her. So we're back to the cameras again on the front of the bus for this final segment of the fight over here. And remember, so that you realize where you are, Shelley is here in the daylight. Over here, there is daylight. This is in the shade. Pilar is going to be here by the wheel, still unconscious, or at least that's what we think. She's down here. And Crowley, who was here, unable to walk forward because of the sunlight, will turn around to Pilar and realize that he has something to do with her. So he's gonna start walking towards Pilar. The axe that was thrown out before, he will grab the axe from the ground and start walking to Pilar with the axe in his hand. All of this is seen by Shelley, who is here in the daylight. And this is very important, especially from an acting standpoint. It's not so much choreography or stunts, but the acting. She will go nuts, Shelley will go nuts, because Crowley is using the fact that Pilar is here, unable to defend herself, unconscious. He has an axe in his hand. He's gonna use that to get her out of the light. And Shelley will start screaming and crying because doesn't want him to do anything to Pilar, and it's gonna offer herself. It's gonna offer her life to save her. These are the things that turn these action scenes into human scenes. Okay, we need to get to the point that we forget this is a vampire movie and this is a domestic abuse situation inside a house when there's this son of a bitch who is abusing these two girls, these two women, and he's using one to get to the other. So she's gonna start screaming, standing here on the limit between light and dark, and she has blood on her arms, and she's gonna offer herself, take me, don't hurt her, don't do anything to her. While all of that is happening, of course, Crowley is a piece of shit. So Crowley, he has here Pilar on the ground. He's gonna put a foot on her. He's gonna raise the axe. He's gonna look at Shelley like saying, okay, come get her. Come and get me if you want to save her. And when he's doing all of that to her, Pilar wasn't really unconscious anymore, and she screws him. She turns around, she had the stake by her. Remember, we showed the stake before, we established it was there, and she's gonna drive the stake through his heart, right here, while he was looking in the other direction with the axe like this. She turns around and quickly drives the stake through his heart. So this is a big moment of shock for him. For the first time, he's going to drop the axe, he's going to stumble, and he's going to try to run away from them, because now he is completely vulnerable with a stake in his heart. So he's going to get out of frame in this direction. And the two girls are now here. Pilar is here, and Shelly is over there, temporarily safe. So now the girls go after him. So what's gonna happen now is, let me see, yeah. Crowley, who was attacked over here, and the axe was over here, the stake was put in his heart here. He's gonna stumble around the bus, trying to run away inside again, where he can hide. Okay, so he's gonna come stumbling, trying to go inside the bus, and when he gets to the door, the cross that Pilar had left there in the beginning of the scene, when she was peeling the pieces of paper, is still there. And we show that in a very detailed shot, that they dropped that cross over there. So he's gonna try to go in, and the cross is here, and he can go in. And when he's like this at the door, let me change the shot to explain this final part a little closer. The camera is now inside the bus, the way it probably will be that day. So Crowley tries to get inside the bus, and when he gets here, he sees the cross. I don't have any lights inside here, so you won't see my face, but that's okay. He sees the cross down here on the floor, and when he's here, like this, unable to go in as he was expecting to, Shelly comes from behind and wraps the crown of thorn around his neck and pulls him out of frame, like this. Okay, so now the girls are on the attack. Okay, he comes this way, tries to come in, sees the cross. Shelly shows up behind him, wraps his neck with the crown of thorns, and pulls him out of frame. And behind them, Pilar comes in too. And Pilar is going after them as well. So this is the final segment and the final area. Crowley was here. Shelly put the crown of thorn around his neck, pull him down, and both of them go down, and she's gonna drag him from the neck. She's gonna drag him towards the light area. We established that before. We're going to create here a line where there is light on one side, darkness on the other, and she's gonna start dragging him towards the light area where there's still the light, the last daylight, the last rays of sun are coming through the windows. It's gonna pull him, but he's gonna grab himself from everything he finds. He's gonna, he's still fighting. So Pilar is gonna get into action. It's gonna jump on them, and from the stake that he still has in the heart, she starts pushing him also. And that does the trick. So both of them, one from behind, Shelly from behind, pulling from the crown of thorns, and Pilar on the front, dragging him from the stake. They will drag him finally to this area where there will be sunlight. They're gonna let him go, and he's gonna die in here. So that's basically the final scene.
That's all, folks.